My first question to you, what are the increased cancer risks that you think face African American women?
So, thank you. Thank you, Robin. First of all, I just want to say hello to everybody out there, and I'm so honored and happy to be here with two dynamic, amazing women, right? I mean, Shaila, I've been listening to you for, I don't want to say how many years, and it's just incredible what you do. And let's have a round of applause for Ms. Roberts. She is an incredible inspiration, such a strong woman and a leader, and she has helped so many people who have been dealing with cancer just by talking about it, just by being out there. And that takes a lot of courage, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
So, we're here at the Circle of Sisters event, and I think it's important for us as women of color and women of African descent to know that definitely there's certain types of cancers that we're more likely to get and that we may have more trouble dealing with. So Ms. Roberts mentioned to you that she had a type of breast cancer called triple negative breast cancer, right? And that is a type that African American women are more likely to get. And it's one of the reasons that African American women, particularly younger women, as she was at the time.
What mean at the time?
She still is, sorry.
Yeah.
You were younger then than you are now.
You were a little younger, just a little.
That young African American women get more often than white women. And we're really working very hard at Memorial Sloan Kettering and other centers to try to understand why that is. Why is that? We don't know why. We don't know if it has something to do with hormones. We don't know what it has to do with, but we have to understand why. And the way that we understand why and understand about cancer is by studying it, by clinical trials. So any of the people here who are victors of cancer, any of you participate in a clinical trial, raise your hand. Anybody? Great, thank you so much. So that takes a lot of courage because we're often very worried about and mistrustful about a clinical trial. You think, I don't want to be a guinea pig. But it's really, really important that we as African American women participate in clinical trials for diabetes, for heart disease, and for cancer. Because if we don't, then we don't know if the drug that they developed is going to work for us. We won't understand why triple negative breast cancer is more aggressive or what we can do to fight it. So that's one message, is that clinical trials are really important and they can really save your life. The second thing is that, cancer, there are some cancers that can be prevented, and there's some cancers that you can find early, and so you can cure them. So breast cancer, get your mammograms. And as Ms. Roberts said, not all breast cancers are found by mammogram. And so even though there's a lot of debate about whether you should do breast self-exam, you should do it. I'm here to tell you, she's here today because she did it. Doesn't matter what the statistics say. You know your own body, and if you don't, you need to get to know that part of your body very well, and you need to teach your daughters to do this, because that's how she found this. She found something that she knew shouldn't be there, right? So we need to get comfortable with examining ourselves. The same thing is true for getting your GYN exams and your pap smears, right? So pap smears can find cervical cancer before it's a problem. And it's a very simple test. Now you only have to do it once every 3 years. It's not expensive, and you can do that. And mammograms as well. They're available. They're not the most pleasant test. I remember when I had mine a couple months ago, and I said to the tech, I was like, how come we haven't come up with a less barbaric way
Absolutely.
to do this? Because, right, exactly, and she and I were discussing, what if a man had to put his whatever in here, right? Wouldn't be good. But there are new tests being worked on other than mammogram. And as Ms. Roberts mentioned, an ultrasound is often going to be done, and that doesn't hurt, right, Robin?
Nope, not at all.
It doesn't hurt at all. And particularly for women whose breasts are dense, and African American women tend to have dense breast tissue, an ultrasound can be life-saving. So that's really important. So get your screening tests, get your pap smears, get your mammograms, and then also colon cancer also affects the people of African descent. So colonoscopy is really important.
So how would you suggest that we space this out? Or is there just like one test you can take cancer screenings for all cancers?
Right. So you definitely have to space them out. The good news is the test that's the most unpleasant that I just mentioned, the colonoscopy, you only need that once every 10 years. So starting at age 50, once every 10 years, and you sleep through it. So it's not that big of a deal. The pap smears are once every 3 years. Now you have to see your gynecologist every year, but the pap smear is only once every 3 years. And then the mammogram and ultrasound is once a year. So it isn't all at once, and we don't yet have a test where you can just do one thing and tell if you have cancer, but that's coming down the line.
And HPV, I was just a little confused about it. I took my son to get his physical, and they said he needs HPV vaccination.
Right.
So who needs to get it? Is it everybody?
Yeah. So I think HPV, which is human papillomavirus, is the second virus that's been found to cause cancer. Hepatitis virus, hepatitis B, causes liver cancer. We don't see as much of that in the United States, but HPV causes a lot of cancers, not just cervical cancer, but head and neck cancers, vulvar cancers, vaginal cancer, anal cancer. And we can prevent these cancers from ever happening by getting a vaccine that gets your immune system to recognize this is a foreign invader. When the virus comes around, kicks it out. So there's a vaccine available now against 9 different types of HPV. It includes all the types that cause cervical cancer, vulvar cancer, anal cancer, and even some head and neck cancers. And who should get it, ideally, are boys and girls. So all of you who have children out there, as a mother, who wouldn't want your child to take a shot that's going to keep them from getting cancer, that's going to save them from going through what Ms. Roberts went through or what my patients go through? It's a no-brainer, right? Giving them the shot is not about sex. It has nothing to do with sex. That's a whole nother discussion. But it will keep them from getting a life-threatening disease. So at ages 11 to 12, boys and girls should get this vaccine. Women can get it up to age 26, and men can get it up to age 21. So it's 3 shots. And it's very, very effective. So vaccinating your children against HPV is something that everybody in here can do, and we will be able to wipe out cervical cancer and some of those other cancers.
Dr. Carol Brown is from Memorial Sloan Kettering. Any place we can go online, social media, that we can find out more that we haven't discussed today?
Absolutely. So you can go to our website at mskcc.org. We have a lot of information about cancer and preventing cancer. I also want to put in a plug for a center that Ms. Roberts has visited called the Ralph Lauren Center for Cancer Care and Prevention in Harlem. Some of you may be familiar with it. And if you go to ralphlaurencenter.org, we have a lot of information. And if you need care for cancer, it's a great place to go.
And
Can I just say, Dr. Brown has been incredible, and everybody there at MSKCC. And I started the podcast, Everybody's Got Something, and the only sponsor, because I didn't want to go anywhere, only sponsor is Memorial Sloan Kettering. They stepped up because it's very similar. Our message to people is that everybody's got something, but we all have resources, we all have something, and I'm so grateful to everybody there at Memorial.
Thank you.
well, that's where you can go to find out about the health concerns. If you want to find out how to get through some of those valleys, then you go to robinpodcast.com. Just tell us a list of some of the people that you've spoken to about their valleys and their peaks. I'm looking at Cookie and Magic Johnson for one.
Yeah, and Cookie and we went there because Cookie and Magic just celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary, and and she has, and we all know he put her through it a little bit. I mean, broke off two engagements. Do you know that they were only married, I think it was 42 days when he got his diagnosis? They were only been married, and she was pregnant at the time when he was told that he was HIV positive. And so in talking with them, we talked, and even though it's not visual, we were in the kitchen. We were in the kitchen when we did the podcast in their home in LA. And we talked about how do you rebuild trust. That was the main focus of talking with them. But Cookie and Magic, and just to see them, they're a beautiful love story. And she has a marvelous book, Believing in Magic. Right. So I talked with her, someone that people in radio know very, very well, Delilah, who has a syndicated radio show, and everybody's always calling in to her and telling them their story. But she has an incredible story and has adopted so many children. India Ari. You know, I love this woman so much. I wrote a song with her with Good Morning America. We took this personality test, and it was determined that I would either be a comedian or a songwriter if I were not doing this. We all know that I'm not funny, so I said, let me try and write a song.
Yes, you are.
So I went to India Ari. We wrote this song, Life is a Journey, Not a Destination. There are no mistakes, just chances we've taken. Lay down your regrets because all we have is now. So from that point, we built this wonderful relationship. So she wrote the original theme song and then shared with us her journey. You know, she stepped out of the spotlight. She had to, what people thought was a breakdown, she turned into a breakthrough. People thought she was having a breakdown. She had a breakthrough to who she is, and she's just a beautiful soul. So grateful for all the people that are a part of the podcast.
RobinPodcast.com. I understand you're going to get some of these postcards. If you haven't already, make sure you seek them out, all right? And make sure you get the book. Everybody's got something.
My publicist, Shaila, Middays with Shaila, who also serves as my publicist. Thank you.
So I think we walked away today with a lot more we came in here with. I think we learned that when fear knocks, let God answer the door. Let your mess be your message. And everybody's got something. And I think Robin Roberts' story tells us as well, and I always try to get away from doing this sisterly kiss. Now, you know, I do a sisterly kiss at the end of every broadcast day that is a progressive thought for the day. I always try to get away from this one, but I can't, because when you hear so much triumph, so much tragedy, yet, you know, victorious, then you can't help but do this one. And I want to dedicate it to you. You know, along life's road, you're going to find there's a loop called confusion, speed bumps called failure, caution lights called family. But if you have a spare called determination, an engine called perseverance, insurance called faith, and that driver called Jesus, you're going to make it to that place called success. I love you. Thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate you. Dr. Carol Brown.
Thank you, Shaila.
Thank you. And thank you. Kiss your sisters, because you never know when they're going to save your life.